Isn't it kind of nice as a Minnesota Fighting Vikings fan to be getting ready for the playoffs as opposed to really sweating out the head coaching and GM carousel? It's pretty awesome, right? So I'm going to go through the coaching rumor tracker, who's in, who's out, who's being interviewed. But I want to start with Sean McVay. So I think it's like 99% that Sean McVay is going to step away. I think he's legitimately burnt out. I think that is a little bit of a Dick Vermeil situation. He's already got his Super Bowl, so maybe it's more like a John Madden situation. I mean, John Madden retired at 42, went into broadcasting, and never went back. Right, so I think Sean McVay, if he wanted to, would be a fantastic broadcaster. Maybe he can build a media empire, etc. So it's whatever there. And I think the Rams' job is garbage. Like, if and when Sean McVay steps away, I think the Rams' job is legitimately garbage because A, you have no draft picks. B, you're in cap hell. C, your stars are aging. I mean, Aaron Donald even flirted with retirement last offseason, and Jalen Ramsey is going to be 29. Also, Matthew Stafford, old, banged up, and may even be cut. Given his contract this offseason. Plus, you're in a city that you don't have a natural fan base. LA is very much a transplant city. Everyone either doesn't care about football or they bring their football fandom from wherever they come from. Right? I mean, the professional football team in LA is USC. And also you have to follow Sean McVay, which is a tough act to follow. So I don't know what's going to go on, but him allowing his assistants to leave, a pretty good sign that he's going to be gone. But so let's get nuts. Starting in Arizona. So the fired Cliff Kingsbury. Actually, no, let's go to firings first. Just recapping. So Kingsbury gone. Yes, Matt Rule gone a long time ago. Joe Woods fired the DC of the Browns. That means our guy Stefanski is probably going to be staying. Hackett gone. Lovey gone. Another one and done. Brilliant. Frank Reich was fired. Also fired Marcus Brady. Threw him under the bus. John Robinson and Todd Downing. They gone. Also a bunch of other assistants. Scotty doesn't know. Fired as OC of the Washington Commies, which also means that Ron Rivera is going to be safe. Parting ways. So, again, their OC, Liam Cohen, who basically took over the Kevin O'Connell role, he's going back to Kentucky. Right? So I think that's a clear sign that things are going to be shaken up in L.A. And then the Jets parted ways with Mike LaFleur, who is the brother of the 12-year-old boy, because, I mean, their job was, or the offense was garbage. Dean Pease retired, even though Dean Pease is freaking 73. And then also Steve Keim is stepping down. So that being said, going into the rumors, so the Cardinals replacing Cliff Kingsbury, they've only reached out to Sean Payton so far. So they've reached out to the Saints, requested not even interview, just a chat. Very much like Sean Payton and the Broncos. So that one would be interesting because there's no GM in place, so Sean Payton could have full control and just hire a toady to be his GM to work the contracts. Plus, apparently he has an infatuation with Kyler Murray, and we know that Payton does have a history of working with sub 6 foot quarterbacks with Drew Brees and whatnot. So maybe that actually would make a lot of sense in this spot. GMs, blah, blah, blah. Monty Ossenford, our guy, the pride of University of Minnesota Morris. A-Dub, Adrian Wilson, staying in house. I would love to see him eventually become a GM. And then Jerry Reese, former Giants GM, notable ones there. Panthers. So for the head coaching job, so Jim Caldwell, who's been making the rounds, I think Caldwell's a good ball coach, except he just doesn't get the time of day that he deserves. They requested Dorsey, OC of the Bills, who took over for Dayball. Ben Johnson, first-year OC of the Lions. Lions offense was really fun and really explosive, and they got after it. Mike Kafka, Giants OC, again, a little bit more of a toady since Dayball does call plays, but also Kafka I bounced around the league. Spent a lot of time with Andy Reid, both in Philly as well as in Kansas City. Kellen Moore, who's made the rounds before. Frank Reich, the former Colts head coach. Now, this one would make sense. I think it really would. Shane Steichen, of course, you're looking at the Eagles OC, also DC Jonathan Gannon of the Eagles making the rounds. Steve Wilkes, he interviewed. He went 6-6 after taking over for Matt Rule. I think Steve Wilkes is a good coach, but I think that their owner David Tepper wants to make a splash. The Browns, so Sean Desai, looking to fill in their DC coordinator job after firing Joe Woods. So Sean Desai, who's always been brought up in DC talks. Seahawks assistant head coach. So he's been requested. Brian Flores, former Dolphins head coach, current Steelers assistant, makes sense. Gerard Mayo, Patriots linebackers coach. He's just champing at the bit to get a DC job. Also, Jim Schwartz making a comeback, man. All right, so I think Jim Schwartz is a good defensive coordinator. What bothered me when he was head coach of the Lions is that he would always wear a white shirt. I don't know why that bugged me so much, but it did. I don't know. Don't trust coaches who only wear white shirts. I don't know, man. For the Broncos. So we got Jim Caldwell also scheduled to be interviewed with the Broncos. Ejiro Evero, the Broncos DC. Remember, Evero turned down a chance to be the Broncos interim the final 2 games because he's like, I'm gonna focus on DC. Let Rosenberg, the clock management guy, let him be head coach. They had an interview with Jim Harbaugh, where even though after last offseason where Harbaugh flirted with the Vikings and he thought that he was flying in to take the job and they just wanted to interview him, he said he's not leaving Michigan. So that was a lie. Raheem Morris, the Rams DC. Now, selfishly, if Raheem doesn't get a head coaching job or get the Rams head coaching job, bring him aboard as Vikings DC. Bring it. Sean Payton, they've requested. Remember, Sean Payton would have to provide the team acquiring Sean Payton would have to provide the Saints with some draft compensation, likely a first-round pick. The Broncos do have one through a bunch of trades with the Dolphins. D'Amico Ryans deserves to be a head coach very soon. Also, he interviewed with the Vikings last offseason before they went with Kevin O'Connell, as well as DQ, Cowboys DC, former Falcons head coach. Oh, also, for whatever reason, it wasn't listed here, but the Broncos interview former Stanford head coach David Shaw, who had a lot of success succeeding Jim Harbaugh at Stanford, but stepped down after some sort of lean years. But I think that David Shaw is a great leader. I think that he would be a great CEO, head coach of this football team, and I think if you want to right the ship, that does make some sense. For the Texans, Evero, Gannon, like we mentioned, Ben Johnson, you're seeing a lot of the same names. Kafka, Sean Payton, D'Amico. I don't think Sean Payton would go to Houston, not with Nick Caserio in there as GM. Steichen as well. Again, you're seeing all these names repeated. The Colts, Evero, Aaron Glenn, Lions DC, 100%. By the way, Aaron Glenn back in the day was a hell of a player, man. Like, fantastic cornerback with the Jets and whatnot. Then you got Ben Johnson, like we said, Lions OC, Raheem Morris, Saturday. Oh, man. No, that's not going to happen. Saints Steichen, also interesting. Bubba Ventrone. So, Bubba Ventrone, Colts special teams coordinator. Colts special teams have been great, and Ventrone was like really good with the Patriots. I believe he spent some time with the Browns, or that might have been his brother, one of the two. But just a gritty, gutty special teamer. I think that he's a good leader. I think that he obviously was great coordinating special teams. So maybe that makes sense. GM for the Titans. Let's see here. Malik Boyd, Glenn Cook, who interviewed for the Vikings GM job last year before he went to Kwesi. Austin Ford, we know he's a guy in house. Ian Cunningham's been bounced around for a lot of these open positions around the GM circles, and that's it for now. So that's is that it? I think that might be it. So basically, I think that the large domino is obviously Sean Payton, and it does sound like Dennis Allen has a good chance of returning as Saints head coach. I do think that the Saints are at least interested in talking about trading Sean Payton, getting that extra first-round pick. Remember, they don't have a first-round pick currently because of the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade with the Eagles. So getting them back in the first round would make some sense. So I'm intrigued where Sean Payton goes. Predictions right now, I'm going to say Arizona. I think Sean Payton ends up in Arizona. Just the fact that he can basically be the de facto GM, have full control, as well as he got Kyler in place, that makes some sense there. And hell, maybe they hang on to Nuke. Maybe. Panthers, I think that Tepper wants to make a splash. I think they go all in for... nah. I mean, Harbaugh would make sense, except they kind of balk there. So, I don't know, maybe they go with Frank Reich. Maybe they go with the young hot name. Maybe they go with Dorsey, or Ben Johnson, or Kafka or something. Could make sense. Browns, who cares who's their DC? Broncos. I mean, is this the Harbaugh spot? It might be, because I feel like the Broncos, well, the Walton family taking over, I feel like they want to swing for the fences after this disaster of a season. And if you're George Payton, I mean, you got to do something. And Harbaugh has had a track record of success in the NFL, and you do have Russ in place. Maybe Harbaugh thinks that he can fix Russ. Yeah, we'll see. Texans, who cares? pick a name out of the hat. It's probably going to be a one and done anyway. Although I will say D'Amico Ryans here makes a ton of sense. I think that he is a great leader. I think that you're going to have some lean years here with the Texans. You do have the number 2 and 12 overall pick, so you can have your future franchise quarterback at 2. You can address other needs at 12. You can potentially trade down and just get more draft picks. It makes all the sense in the world. And D'Amico Ryans being a former Houston Texan legend, I mean, it makes sense. Too much sense. Probably why it won't happen. Colts. Well, it's certainly not going to be Jeff Saturday. I could see this going to Ben Johnson. I think that the Colts want to rebuild this offense and go from there. I do hope that Ventrone gets a shot, though, and Aaron Glenn, but we'll see. Anyways, that is the current status of the NFL coaching rumors and interviews and who's been fired, who's been hired. Well, no one's been hired. You know what I mean? Anyways, let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.